Hey, my name is Mike Lemon with CyberSafe Teen. We're here today talking with Kerri Isham from Power Up Education, and she is going to be talking to us about pornography, not just specifically or generally about pornography, but specifically about the science and the physical parts that happen to our children, so what's happening inside our children's bodies when they watch pornography, and what's happened to their bodies when they're watching pornography, and how that's affecting our children today, unlike any other generation before them. Miss Kerri, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming back on and sharing your knowledge with our parents, because this is such an important topic. And if they're watching this Cyber Safety Nation, they know we talk about pornography a lot
Mhm.
because it is such a huge has such a huge impact on our children. And so many parents think, well, I saw pornography when I was young and it didn't affect me. Well, what the kids are watching today has a huge impact. And we're going to talk really about the science behind that, the physical part behind that today. So, can you tell a little bit about yourself? That if someone hasn't seen you here before, I know we've interviewed you many times, and we'll do it many more times as we go along. But just kind of give someone who's new a little perspective of who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, I've been an educator for 25 years, and I left the public school system. I'm from Canada, so left the public school system in 2009 to venture off to create my own sexual health consulting business. And I do private clients. I teach in schools. I do trainings for EAs, teachers, parents, grandparents, foster parents. And I specialize in sexual abuse prevention, LGBTQ advocacy, and special needs education. And I deliver sexual health education to kids 2 and up.
Excellent. Excellent. So the topic today is really the science behind pornography. And when someone watches something or someone experiences things happen inside their body. What's going on when a child is watching pornography?
Okay, so I want to talk about 4 chemicals in the body. The first one is dopamine. So, children and teens are at the peak production of dopamine, and dopamine allows for extreme focus. And so, every time, for example, your phone pings, so you get a new follower on Instagram or someone sends you a message, you do get a release of dopamine in the body. And this chemical really sends people back looking for more, even though they may have been alarmed or disgusted with what they saw. They may also be sexually aroused or curious, because teenagers and children, they're wired for interest in sexuality and bodies and things like that. This is part of being a human being. Dopamine actually teaches the viewer to prefer the screen than a real life partner. And that's very worrisome, because we don't want people bonding with the screen and with actors and actresses. Another chemical that releases in the body is oxytocin. And oxytocin, so when a new mom holds her baby for the first time, both the mom and the baby release oxytocin in the body, and it's a bonding love chemical. The same chemical releases when people are watching pornography. So it's actually increasing the bond and the love between the viewer and the screen. Serotonin allows for calming and satisfaction. And we know that young people are on social media more so than ever before due to COVID-19 and being home more and things like that. And so some people are going to pornography actually to feel better, right? To calm themselves, to feel a sense of satisfaction. And then norepinephrine that releases in the body is a shot of adrenaline, and it allows for increased memory. So we know when kids are viewing pornography, they are storing it in their mind like a Rolodex. And we remember in pictures and not words. So what we don't want is kids having a large Rolodex with pictures that they can pull for later retrieval when they're having their first sexual experiences, because the images that they're seeing are degrading and dehumanizing and objectifying, and that's not how we want young people to share their bodies.
Excellent. So, really, when our children are watching pornography, but anyone watching pornography, you're getting rewarded for it. So it's not only is it you know pleasurable to see for the child, but it's a physical pleasure they're receiving every single time, and it's not. I don't know if, about addiction. That's not my kind of specialty, but it's the same process though. The mental and the physical side. Would you agree that kind of leads to addiction to drugs can also lead to addiction of I want that feeling again?
Yeah, absolutely. It lights up the same part of the brain, regardless of the substance. And I think, because of the accessibility, kids can be viewing 24/7, right? We want to encourage families to take the devices at the end of the night, to have devices in a high traffic area like the kitchen or the living room, because it really only takes a couple of seconds for a child to see an image. And of course, having a plan when that happens is super useful to families as well. If you see naked people on a screen, close your laptop, come to me. We're gonna talk about it, because if parents keep their head in the sand, which is the model of parenting that we least prefer, our kids are really at risk. The younger kids, it can create a sexual template that they would never have had. And it can turn on sexual energy that really wasn't supposed to be turned on until puberty. And then we see kids, young children in my private practice, reenacting things that they're seeing on pornography, on siblings, on extended, family members, cousins and things like that, or even bringing the behavior to school. And some of these behaviors are very concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it with what I do as well, as far as young children who are reenacting things that happened to them or things they've seen on the screen. So I definitely believe you're spot on with that. So
Mhm.
let's kind of jump on topics a little bit, but you're talking about what these Rolodex that children have in their head of these pictures. When, like I said, I was growing up, I saw pornography in preteen age, and it was pictures. It was nude women in different positions.
Mhm.
That was it, really,
Yeah.
compared to what kids are seeing today. And how is that different, and what kind of effect does that have on our children?
Well, I follow the work of Gail Dines, and she wrote Pornland, How Pornography is Hijacking Our Sexuality. And she's created an online forum called Culture Reframed. I highly recommend that parents check that out. They have free parent training on there. She's talked about the last 10 years, pornography has become more gory, more violent, more racist, and kids are seeing that. And so, I don't honestly know if things can get worse than they are. But when I hear parents say, and I've heard this many times, well, I watched pornography when I was growing up and I'm fine. But it really is like comparing like a sunflower seed to a watermelon. You know what I mean? Like we're not even in the same realm. And so I caution parents to be naive about what their kids are watching. You only have to go to RedTube or Pornhub to see the level of degradation that is happening. And I often wonder what goes on in the mind of a 12-year-old when are they thinking, do my parents do that or not? Or is that how you're supposed to have sex with someone? Because that looks like it's hurting someone. And why would I want to hurt someone when I have sex with them? And yeah, I don't know what it would be like, because I saw magazines too when I was growing up, very tame, the Playgirl, Playboy kind of stashed underneath the bed or in the drawer. And then I remember my brother sharing something with me online, but it was nothing like we see today. And
Hmm.
not like we had to hunt for it. We had to dig for it. We had to, we might have gotten one picture and then we showed our friends, but it wasn't what the kids have today, which is free access anytime they want, unless the parents filter.
Yeah, 24-hour access to hardcore pornography,
Mm-hmm.
and having that access can not only you kind of explain the science of what's going on inside the child's head, but what is kind of the physical issues they're facing when they're seeing this much and when
Yeah.
they're acting these things out.
Well, I can tell you from firsthand, because I often see things before I hear about them in studies. So several years ago, I had quite a number of boys come to me. The school gave me an hour of sort of support time. So the kids would make an appointment for 10 or 15 minutes, and then the next one would be in the hall, and I would sort of like funnel them through. So I had boys 17 and 18 years of age come to me saying, I have a serious problem. And I'm like, okay, well, what's happening? And they said, well, I can't get an erection with my girlfriend. I said, okay. Are you able to get an erection alone? Yes. Okay. And can you tell me how much pornography you're watching? And most of these guys, it was daily consumption. And basically what was happening is the images that they were seeing, they were able to get stimulated by the violence and the, degradation, the objectification. But then when they were with a real life partner, they couldn't get aroused. And so when I'm talking to kids about this, it's sort of like comparing like a banana split with the sprinkles and the chocolate and the whipped cream versus a plain vanilla cone. And so our bodies sometimes get used to having like this incredible dessert. And then when we're offered vanilla, we're like, not so much. I mean, some people will disagree. They like the plain vanilla, but go work with me on this, right?
That's me.
Yeah. And so they prefer all the bells and whistles. And then when they're with a real life partner, now this is very problematic for both people. One, in our society, men, and I would say women too, put a lot of focus on a male being able to get an erection. And if you can't get an erection, then that sort of attacks your manhood or your masculinity. The girl that the boy is with is also having issues because she's thinking, how come I can't get my boyfriend aroused? Maybe he doesn't find me attractive. Maybe I need to go to porn as well to find out what he's seeing. And then maybe I need to do those things too. So then you're looking at body image and self-esteem challenges and, a very tough conversation for 17, 18-year-olds to have that somebody's experiencing erectile dysfunction. Like I can't even imagine how difficult that would be and how that would impact your mental health. If that's always in the back of your mind that I'm not good enough and I'm not performing properly, I'm not sure, do you do your schoolwork? Can you do your homework? Can you be your best self in the world? I don't think so.
So the ramifications we're talking about is not just for the young boy or young girl. It's their relationships they have. And we talked about like this, if a young boy has erectile dysfunction with his girlfriend because he's watching so much pornography, that's kind of what turns him on, and in person doesn't really turn him on. What kind of things are you seeing like the girls have to do to feel like they are what your boyfriend wants to do, and how does that affect the girls?
Well, I remember a question that I had years ago, and the person said, grade 11, my boyfriend watches pornography. I don't really want to, but I feel like I have to put on an act when we're together to mimic the sounds and moaning and groaning that may happen. And I just thought, and she said, I don't really want to do that. I just want to be with my boyfriend in a sexual, intimate way. I think people are being asked to do sexual acts before they're ready. I think people are choosing to engage in things like anal intercourse because they're seeing that so prolifically in pornography. And unfortunately, on my end, I have a few friends that are forensic nurses. And on my end, what they're sharing with me is that, we have teenagers who have damages to, the anal sphincters and the inside of the rectum because they do not know how to do it safely. And people are not communicating how to do that safely. They're not talking about the speed and things like that these types of activities need to go. And I joke around with my students because anything that is like really elevated, I try to make light of it because it kind of eases the mood. But I say to them, the vagina is definitely far enough away from the anus so that there should never be any oopsie doopsie moments. Like these conversations need to happen ahead of time, which they are not happening ahead of time with most teenagers. And even like a lot of adults that are dating again, are you having conversations about this is my boundary, this is what I want to do, these things are the things I don't want to do? And even if they're saying that, are people listening?
Exactly. Setting those boundaries are so important. We've talked to a couple other people recently just about that and how people do not do it, but it helps so much in any type of relationship, not just with the sexual side, but with your interpersonal side as well.
Yeah.
And so uh, so why are our kids continuing to go back and see more and more and more pornography?
Yeah.
What happens with our kids, and why are they doing that?
Hmm. Well, I think they're curious. I think they do not get the sexual health education that they deserve to have as a human right. I know that there is high hopes in the United States that with your new president, that things are going to shift away from just abstinence only education. Absolutely, abstinence is a great option, but
Hmm.
we have to teach kids about everything. They may not need it for 10 years, but we don't say, well, we're going to withhold grade 10 math. You know, we have to give these kids incremental information that's age appropriate based on a curriculum. I think kids go for the taboo and intrigue of it all because they may go to school. Their friend says, "Oh my gosh, did you see this title of this film?" And the kid's like, "No," and or maybe they pretend to because they want to be in the loop, and then they go home and they feel increased pressure to look pornography so that they can actually be in the know, like to stay in the loop. I think kids go for boredom. I think they feel pressured either from a boyfriend or girlfriend or from their friends to go. Um, Pornography doesn't require us to be vulnerable, and you're not going to be rejected. And a real life relationship requires vulnerability. And sometimes when we have a crush on someone, they don't return the same feelings. Pornography,
Hmm.
you don't have to worry about that. And relationships are challenging, they're hard work.
Absolutely.
And pornography is easy. You sit in front of a screen, you're now actually able to pay people to like tell them exactly what you want them to do and maybe feel powerful and aroused in that way. And then the last thing is, I think, you know, LGBTQ youth, I think, are going to pornography because they don't get the same representation that heterosexual couples would get. And it allows them to look, all youth, to look for, you know, fantasy or kink or types of sexual genres that they may be interested in or curious about without any judgment because they can watch it alone.
Got you. I got you. So we talked about kind of the differences in the pornography that was around when we were growing up versus
Mhm.
today. And the big piece to that is the violence that you see, the choking, hitting, just the degradation, like you said.
Yeah.
How is that affecting our children seeing that?
Well, I mean, it's very clear in the literature. This is increasing violence against women. And there's
Absolutely.
certain marginalized groups, trans women, women, you know, trans women of color, very high risk for, you know, sexual assault. I think it is rewiring our young people's brains so that they're preferring violence over kindness and gentleness and being loving towards somebody else. And you know, we know less kids are partnering right now. Less people are having a boyfriend or girlfriend. More people are thinking, well, I'll take this person for now, but I am waiting for a better option. And this is what social media has taught us, that if we just kind of don't commit, we'll say that we're, I mean, I don't know the usage in the United States, but in Canada, a lot of kids are saying we're having a thing. And this thing, which is super annoying to someone like me, because if you ask any kid what it means, they have a different definition. So a
Hmm.
thing to me is we have something, people know about it. It is not social media official. We are not boyfriend, girlfriend, but we may be doing, well, are likely to be doing sexual things. And so it's like having a relationship without the commitment, having access to the sexual stuff without the bonding, without, you know, like, so for
Hmm.
me, I'm fearful of that. You know, I want my daughter's 20. I want her to be able to have loving relationships rather than these consistent like offers at hookups, which leave usually both people pretty empty. And then we're empty. So then we go and seek it out again, finding another person.
Yeah, hopefully that one will be the one, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the outcomes that we talked about, the what's going on inside our children, what's going on with their physical well-being with this, the relationships issues that our children are facing because of this. But when you boil all these things down, what are the outcomes that our children are facing, and kind of what does their future hold for them if they go down this road continuously?
Yeah. Well, viewing pornography is going to increase risky sexual behaviors. So I have yet to see any pornography that has someone using a condom, for example. And the high risk activities that I see and hear about are things like, taking the penis from the anus and then putting it in someone's mouth. This is common in pornography. And of course, the anus is releasing toxins and waste in the body. So we don't want to then transfer that to the person's mouth. And most people, I think, would view that as a degrading type of act. But kids see that and then they think, oh, well, am I supposed to do that? Mm-hmm. I think we know that people who view pornography are more likely to commit sexual violence. We know that they're more likely to have disturbed family relationships. And I'm going to give you an example, not just you, this example, 12-year-old girl, a client of mine, was on her dad's laptop, found pornography. The girl tells the mom, I saw this on dad's laptop. The mom is upset because she didn't know that her husband was watching pornography kind of secretively. And then the dad, when approached by the daughter saying, why do you have this on your laptop, denies it and says it's not his. So I don't know if that could get any crazier as a family dynamics. We've got the husband and wife having issues. We've got the dad and the daughter, this weird discomfort, right? And this girl is right in the middle of puberty, right? Yeah. And then like the isolation that happens with pornography, you're more withdrawn, staying in your room more. You're more likely to be involved in sexting and sexual harassment. You're more likely to be involved in coercive sex. You're more likely to have relationship challenges with your peers. And this is interesting. There was a study that came out in 2018, which I always wondered about. When I have overweight boys in my class, sometimes they're very immature, and this is not everyone, but sometimes they're very immature with the content. And I was like, what is going on here? Just talking about puberty changes and even naming the private body parts. And then a study came out saying that boys who are overweight or obese are more likely to view pornography. And then I was thinking, interesting. So you've got people watching pornography solo. They may be attaching shame to it because it's a secretive type of activity. Then a sexual health educator like me comes to the school and I talk about the private body parts very comfortable. And then this in turn makes the young man feel uncomfortable because I'm talking about things, I'm shining a light on things that they hold in the dark, in the secret. So it's just, there's so like the body image, the self-esteem, the depression, the feelings of loneliness, it can be all encompassing. Yeah.
It's one of those things that we've talked about before. It is a huge problem that our parents are facing on a daily basis, dealing with their kids, and their kids are viewing on a daily basis. And parents need help, and I know you can help them. You have some resources available. I'll throw your website up here,
sure,
so people can see it. And it is, let me pull it up here to make sure I say it right, but it's powerupeducation.com. And in here you have workshops and resources for parents, right?
Yeah.
Specifically about how to talk to them about pornography. And you have workshops that you're involved with as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 2 workshops coming up. February 25th is how to talk to children and youth about pornography, where the adult actually attends with the young person. And that's 6:30 to 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, but I will be recording that. So if people purchase a ticket and they're not able to attend, they'll get the recording. And then I'm offering another one on April 15th. It's sponsored by an organization on Vancouver Island in BC, Canada. And that one is actually for adults only, 6:30 to 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, April 15th.
Excellent. So the first one could be parents and children, but the second one was adults only. Excellent. Miss Kerri, I always appreciate you coming on and sharing your great information with us. And you always educate me every time we talk. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mike.